The fourth night arrived like a predator, silent and patient, wrapping the cabin in a suffocating darkness. I had barricaded myself in the attic with the journal and the note clutched to my chest, hoping that somehow, staying in one place would keep me safe. But deep down, I knew the house wouldn't allow that. It didn't respond to logic or caution. It responded to fear, to longing, to isolation, the very things I had brought with me. It started subtly, as always, the soft creak of floorboards, the whisper of snow brushing against the windows. But then came the shadows. They moved faster now, more fluid, almost sentient. I could feel their presence pressing in from all sides. I shivered, realizing that every corner of the cabin had become a vantage point for them. Watching me, studying me, learning me, I rose from the floor, forcing myself to breathe deeply. I had to confront this. I couldn't stay hidden forever. Clutching the note, I descended the narrow staircase, my bare feet brushing against the cold wooden planks. The living room seemed wrong. The fireplace had extinguished on its own, despite my efforts to keep it alive. The furniture had shifted, subtle but enough to disturb the familiar order. The note pulsed faintly, and I realized it was the only thing keeping the shadows at bay. I moved toward the kitchen, where I had left the lights on earlier. But the kitchen was dark, shadows pooling unnaturally in corners. As I stepped closer, I noticed frost forming on the windows. Oddly thick, swirling patterns that seemed almost deliberate. Like the house itself was drawing shapes. And then I saw it, a message etched into the frost. "You should not be here." My breath caught in my throat. I had been warned, had read the journals, had felt the eyes in the darkness, but seeing it spelled out so clearly made my stomach drop. The house wasn't just alive, it was aware of me. It was communicating, taunting me, testing me. The whispers began again, louder now, echoing from every corner. Names I recognized from my childhood, from past Christmases, floated on the wind. My parents' voices, my siblings' voices, distorted and twisted, calling me toward the windows, toward the snow outside. "Come join us. Don't be alone." I shook violently, clutching the note to my chest. The glow flared brighter, almost painfully, illuminating the shadows in grotesque forms. Figures coalesced, vague silhouettes that resembled family members, friends, strangers, but their faces were blurred, their movements jerky and unnatural. I backed away, heart racing. The house pulsed with energy, almost breathing, walls stretching subtly, doors shifting, stairs creaking as if under invisible weight. It was testing me, probing my courage, my resolve, and I realized, with a sinking feeling, that the longer I stayed, the more it would try to bend my mind, to pull me into the snow, into the shadows. I decided to leave the living room, moving toward the hallway that led to the basement. I had a gut feeling that whatever the house wanted, its heart was below, in the foundation where the energy felt strongest. The basement door was old, wooden, and slightly warped, but it opened with a groan. I descended carefully, every step echoing in the narrow stairwell. The basement was colder than the rest of the house, the air thick and heavy. Shadows clung to the corners like living things. I fumbled for a flashlight, its beam cutting weakly through the darkness. The note in my hand pulsed, almost guiding me toward a large stone hearth at the far end. I approached it slowly, noticing scratches in the stone, deep grooves forming strange symbols. Then I saw it, an opening in the hearth, large enough to step into. I hesitated, the whispers in my head reaching a fever pitch, the shadows swirling violently around me. The house wanted me to enter. It wanted me to confront its heart. My instincts screamed to run, but I couldn't leave now. I had come this far. I had survived nights of terror and isolation. I had to face whatever waited. I stepped through the opening and the basement dissolved. Not literally, but perceptually. The walls, the floor, The ceiling stretched and shifted until I was standing in a cavernous space, metallic and shadowed, glowing with faint red veins of light. Shapes moved in the distance, humanoid but impossible, their forms stretching and warping as they approached. The air thrummed with energy, vibrating in my chest. The whispers became voices, distinct now, clear and coherent. You sought solitude. You sought escape. You came willingly. And now you are ours. Panic threatened to overtake me, but I clutched the note. Its glow flared in response. A protective warmth against the cold, oppressive energy. The figures advanced, circling me, their forms constantly shifting, their faces vaguely familiar, like mirrors of my deepest desires and fears. I realized then the horrifying truth. The house fed on isolation, yes, but also on longing. My desire for a peaceful Christmas, for freedom from rejection, had made me vulnerable. The house wasn't just alive, it was sentient, ancient, patient, and cruel. It had observed me, studied me, and now it wanted to claim me as it had claimed so many others. I pressed the note against my chest, whispering to myself, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. The glow flared brightly, and the figures recoiled, hissing and twisting as if burned by light. The energy in the cavern pulsed violently, the walls bending and stretching, shadows clawing toward me from all directions. And then I ran. I ran blindly through the shifting space, guided only by the faint glow of the note. The figures surged after me, whispering, screaming, calling my name in distorted echoes. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I didn't stop. The house was a maze, constantly rearranging itself, but I refused to give in. Finally, I saw an exit, a faint outline of a door, glowing faintly with a welcoming warmth. I lunged toward it, stumbling through the shadows. The figures shrieked, reaching for me, but the note flared once more, pushing them back. I burst through the door and found myself back in the main cabin. The snowstorm outside, raging as if nothing had happened. The shadows were gone. The whispers faded, leaving only the low hum of the wind and the gentle creak of the cabin. I sank to the floor, exhausted, gasping for breath. The note lay quietly in my hands, its glow dimming to a faint pulse. I realized I had survived the house's direct test. But I also knew the ordeal wasn't over. The cabin was patient. It didn't need to claim me immediately. It would wait, watch, and test again. And I was still trapped, surrounded by snow, cut off from the world, vulnerable to its ancient intelligence. As I stared at the fire, struggling to calm my racing heart, I knew one thing with certainty. The house had a purpose, and it had chosen me for this Christmas. The next nights would be worse, more daring, more personal, and I would need every ounce of courage and every fragment of sanity to endure what was coming.